Welcome to Mix and Plants and Crafts. My name is Rachel, and today we're going to craft this spiral cactus. I have been wanting to make this for some time now and trying to figure out how to do it. Felt impossible, but I got it done. And today I'm going to show you how to make it. This is actually my 7th or 8th design. I've lost track. I'm going to make a similar design to this one. And the only difference is going to be the edges will be a little bit more raw, instead of it being tucked in, you can't see it, on a similar fabric. So let's get started on the materials that we need for this project. Will be a cactus pattern. Cut this pattern out of a Whole Foods paper bag, so it's kind of the shape of a cactus, or how I would want it to be. The pattern I had before was this one, so I'm making a little change to it. It's going to look a little like this. It's just the top is curved a little differently. So that's what you will need. So you can probably cut this out yourself. It's very easy to make, and you can make it as long as you want. This one is 8.5 inches by 3.5 inches. The next thing you will need is fabric, and this particular fabric is kind of a suede. It's not real suede, but it's a suede type fabric, so it's a little thicker and fairly smooth on one side, and the edges, they don't fray as much, meaning you can't really see a lot of the thread coming out. So it's fairly thicker, and then it stretches. So I think the important part of this project is to get a not too much of a stretch, because my sewing machine doesn't really do well with stretchy fabric, but it's still thick enough. There's not a lot of stretch on this side, but a lot of stretch on this side. I think it's important to get something that stretches. Next thing is Poly-fil. This is my stash that I have to make projects like this. You will also need a small piece of felt for this project. I'm going to use this felt at the bottom of the cactus to close the opening. Also use the same fabric if you wanted to. You can use the another piece of fabric, because we're gonna use a glue gun for it. So I mean, I would suggest using the fabric if you don't feel like getting felt, but I'm gonna use felt. I like the way the finished item looks. The next thing you'll need is craft pipe cleaners. So that's what they're called. If you're a crafter, you would be familiar with this term. So it's the wires it's bendable. So we're gonna stuff this into the cactus to make the spiral. Also using embroidery thread for this project, because I'm going to do the spines of the cactus, and I want to use a thicker thread for it to stand out a little more, like this. So and a glue gun. I'll have a list of everything that you would need in the description below. So in this step coming up, I'm going to go ahead and cut the fabric using my cactus pattern. Okay, so I have my pieces cut. You're gonna need 6 pieces. And let's go to the sewing machine to bring this together. I'm gonna turn it the wrong sides together, and then the right sides, the pretty side, is out. So that's how we're gonna sew it together. So we're gonna sew these pieces, and we have 6 pieces, and then we're gonna end up with 3 pieces. So we're gonna sew all 3 of these together. I'm gonna do a zigzag stitch on them, and I think you would be able to do a straight stitch on it if you wanted to. You can also hand stitch this together with a blanket stitch. It's just going to take a little longer because the sewing machine speeds up this process quite a lot, which is why I wanted to do it on a sewing machine. So let's get this stitch together. Okay, so I'm having some issues with my machine. It is not giving me a zigzag stitch with the stretchy fabric. I will have to consult my sewing ladies to find out why it's doing that. I was having the same issue when I was making my Ethereum pillow. I'm gonna just do a straight stitch on here. Where do you want, Satch? Where do you want to go? Why don't you go lay down? Yeah, so this is what it looks like. So I have 3 of these, and I cleaned up the edges a little bit, and I missed one. Just wanted to clean it up a little bit. So that's what it looks like. So now the next thing I'm going to do is line up these pieces together, all 3 of them, and sew along the middle of this fabric. Okay, so here's what you do if you're doing this without a sewing machine. You're gonna sew each single cactus piece down the middle, so you'll be sewing 3 of them down the middle this way, and then when you're done with that, you're going to glue all 3 of them together down the middle. That's how I would suggest doing it if you did not have a sewing machine. Now it's been sewn down the middle, and it is starting to look like a cactus. Actually, I actually like this one better than the one I originally made. I like the look of it being sewn on the pretty side of the fabric. So yeah, this is the pattern. This is the pattern number 6, and this is what I'm going to stick with. Next step for this is going to be using the piping craft wires, the piping wire. So I suggest deciding how much wires you want to add to the cactus. We're gonna stuff it with the wire. So we're gonna get 8 piping wires in a pile of 6, and we are going to stuff the cactus together. So now that I have my 6 wires together, I'm gonna measure the amount of where I need to bend it. So I need to bend it here. So I'm bending the wires like this to meet the cactus, to meet the length of the cactus. I am now going to stuff each sleeve in here with a wire. Okay, so we have the cactus stuffed with the piping wires, And if you actually wanted to make a straight cactus like this, you can. You wouldn't need piping wires. You can just use a polyfill to stuff it. So now we're gonna make the magic happen because we're gonna twist. Hold it like this, and now I twist. I continue twisting until I get the spiral I'm looking for. So when you look at these spiral cactus, you see that it's not a perfect twist. There's some that's a little wonky and it's even more pretty. We're gonna try to see if we can get some wonkiness out of this. Scrunch it a little bit like this to get, oh man, this is looking great. All right, so here is the twist, and to get a nice spiral going. Yep, we have a perfect twist. I'm gonna go ahead and use my pliers to move the pointy edges down. So I'm just gonna turn it down into the cactus. After I turn these piping wires down, I'm gonna stuff the bottom portion, maybe stuff like 2 inches of the bottom of the cactus so we can stick it into the pot. So I kind of like made it a little wonky on one side and then a nice twist on the other. You know, all the cactuses are not like symmetrically perfect. That's what makes them so beautiful. So we have the edges bent and it's a lot better to the touch. You don't really have to stuff the bottom if you don't want to. I'm gonna stuff it because I wanted to fill the pot. So the next step, I'm going to, that's beautiful, but I'm going to cut a felt to the shape of this, a circle, and I'm going to glue it to the bottom so that so that way I can, when I stuff it into a plant pot, the stuffing won't come out, but we just put this into a plant pot, and here we have the cactus. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you can scrunch, oh my gosh, you can scrunch it all the way down to make it a different shape. You can really play around with this a lot. I have this cut to the desired circle I want, and we're gonna just put it at the bottom of the cactus. I just want to do this so I can just close it completely. That's just what it's gonna look like. But we can't do this now because I forgot to charge my glue gun. And while this is charging, we're gonna go ahead and put the spines on the cactus. That is gonna take a while, so by the time I'm done with the spine of the cactus, the glue gun will be charged. So I'm gonna put the needle here to start with. I'm gonna leave a little and then loop it and then come back to the end over here. close it. There we go. And now I'm going to snip. And I think I'll snip a little more on this side. And poof. There you go. Okay, so I have the spines in is how much I would want to have. So now I'm gonna just put it in the plant pot so I can hold it better. I'm gonna trim those really long ones. I don't really want it that long. All right, so now I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the bottom of it now since I think my glue gun is heated up. Okay, so here we have the cactus that we just made. It looks great. This design is a lot better. I wanted to show you the bottom of it. I guess I would next one that I do the bottom of, I would make it a little bigger. This kind of works fine. I do like the idea of closing the bottom. And here we have it. I love this. This cactus came out from an idea. And to encourage you not to give up on your ideas, this was my first cactus design. It actually was the third one, but we're not counting the first two because it was a disaster. So this was the first design. This was the second design. This was the third design. So a big improvement from this one, but this one came from it, which because I really wanted the spiral. This design came from it, and then this one was born. So it's a big difference and very close, but I don't know which one I like best now. I think this one is the better one. The spiral on this one is better than this one. This one is a lot easier to sew with my sewing machine, and this one was hard to sew because of, of the thick fabric I had to grab with my sewing machine. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you make it, and if you do make this cactus, please let me know in the comments. I will be working on a PDF pattern for this so you guys can have this available, and I'm not sure when that will come out. I've never written a pattern before, so I don't really know how to do that, but I will figure it out. And hopefully sometime in April, I will be able to give you this pattern for the cactus. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next week. This is why you should never give up when you start doing something, because your first attempt at something always looks like it. Can I say that?